What wedding moment made you think they are not going to last long? As a wedding photographer, I have been to more than my share of weddings. It was a real shotgun wedding. Dad didn't realize it would not stand up in court. Only time the groom was more excited to have photos than the bride. She wanted a limo. He thought a hearse would be better and kept doing lurch impressions. From the Addams family, her friends took turns motorboating her, females, and he said, "Get it out of your system, as after tonight you never get to do that again." Was a good sign also when she dove into the pool with her bridesmaids at the reception in her wedding dress. Don't know what happened. Sat down with bride and groom, filling out the contract. Got the deposit. He stood up, said forget it, and walked out. 2 months later I get told the wedding is off. 3 months later she calls to rebook. Different groom. Day of the wedding I'm at the church. Got the final payment the week before. No one shows. No one. Just me and the DJ. Not the couple getting married, but the best man and maid of honor who were married to each other. Best man's speech was all about how hard it was to be married. I've been married for a year, and it feels like 100 years. Maid of honor stands up to give a speech and just says ditto. It was so awkward and really brought the whole room down. Brother of the bride stood up and gave a nice impromptu speech about teamwork and having a partner to go through life with. How happy the family was to have the groom join their family. Best man and maid of honor were divorced within a year. Couple who got married are still married 30+ years later. I sometimes wonder if the speeches actually were helpful in how not to act as a couple. For me, the complex backstory. Bride's brother is gay and has been in a long-term relationship for 40+ years. At the time he gave his speech about marriage, he couldn't marry the man he loved, and I think his passion defense of marriage was born from that. When people would say they were against gay marriage because it makes a mockery of marriage, I'd think of that night. The married couple who had no respect for marriage could easily marry and did over and over again. And the man who stood up and defended marriage could not. He's married now and lovingly takes care of his husband as he battles health issues. When they were doing the vows and the priest got to the forager or poorer part, and she said forager or richer, and maybe for poorer. The officiant was not pleased. I think they made it a year. I'm witnessing one from the sidelines now. My wife's brother just got married this past May. Bride's mother is a big DIY person and went a little nuts with extra flowers, table pieces, decorations, etc. Note I said extra. It was already decorated by the venue. She just took it upon herself to buy and add way more stuff. Anyway, a few weeks ago she sends my groom's mom and email with receipts of all the extra stuff she bought, $7,000 worth, and asked that she pay half, since it was technically set up in time for the rehearsal dinner for guests to enjoy. It's causing a huge rift between the new newlyweds, since the bride is taking her mom's side. When they were doing the vows and the priest got to the forager or poorer part, and she said forager or richer, and maybe for poorer. The officiant was not pleased. I think they made it a year. I did my undergraduate degree in literature and there was a lot of overlap with the drama students. None of this surprises me in the least. They were always bragging about how incestuous ** they were. *by which they meant they all slept with each other. My wife got invited to a client's daughter's wedding. The couple were both drama students. Many of the bridal party were drama students. The maid of honor's toast consisted of tearful declarations of unrequited love to the groom, along the lines of, "If it couldn't be me, I'm glad it's my best friend that's marrying you." The best man's speech was a lusty declaration of, "If it doesn't work out, call me, babe, like the previous time you called me." Other toasts were similarly weird. A guy at the table I was seated at was a friend of the bride, and said to me that he was this close to standing up during the "speak now or forever hold your peace" thing. I'm still not sure if the whole thing was a bunch of emotionally fucked up 20-year-olds, or one big piece of performance art. He ended up at the emergency room between the ceremony and the reception. He went out the night before with his sister and friends and got plastered. They had to hold a cold pack to the back of his neck to keep him vertical during the wedding photos. Marriage lasted 30 days until they had a fight. She left the house and he filled the U-Haul truck with everything but her clothes. The bride had a bruised eye covered by makeup. Also, it was visible that walking was hurting her. I might think it was because the corset was pushing on broken ribs. Took her 3 years to run away. I was maid of honor. Me, best man in the couple, went into a separate little room to do the signing stuff. Bride excused herself to go to the bathroom and the groom started making pretty mean remarks about her cooking. She's passionate about to the officiary. She came back, heard they were talking about cooking family meals together, and gave him the warmest smile, thinking he had praised her. He scoffed awkwardly and changed the topic. That always stuck with me. He wasn't laughing with her but at her, behind her back. They lasted 7 months. When the bride tried to playfully feed the groom some cake, pulling it back once it got close to his mouth. The 3rd time she did this, he slapped it out of her hand and stormed off. In the ensuing awkward silence and wide-eyed staring, we all knew it wouldn't last. Surprisingly, they were together for nearly 2 years before the bride eloped away with her stepbrother. No one saw that coming. Prior to my wedding, I'd asked my husband to practice dancing with me because I'm uncoordinated due to a disability. He blew me off and said we'd be fine. As we were dancing, he spoke in my ear, not even quietly. "What are you doing? What's wrong with you? You're embarrassing me." We lasted 2 years. Leaving was the best decision I ever made. Wedding videographer here. I think my favorite moment was when I was sitting at the miscellaneous table with all the randoms and the girl next to me, the groom's ex, drunkenly admitted to sleeping with the groom a few months prior.